The other big problem we got in this election is a lot of independents who aren't doing so badly economically say, well, I voted for those Democrats before, I'm not going to do it now. They're just gone hog wild crazy with their big spending. That's what I learned on Fox News. You've heard that, haven't you? I can't vote. The Democrats are just big spenders. Now, first, let's look at the credibility here. I want to talk about the deficit and jobs and the size of government. That's what the Tea Party cares about, right? In the 8 years you let me serve, we had 22.7 million jobs. In the 12 years before I served and the 8 years after I served, before the financial meltdown, in 20 years, 20 combined, the Republican administrations did not have that many jobs. Not as many in 20 as we had in 8. In the 12 years before I became president, they took the national debt from $1 to $4 trillion. It was the first time in the history of the Republic we just threw away money when we had ordinary economic growth. Then I gave you 4 surplus budgets, paid $600 billion down on the national debt, left President Bush with a $230 billion surplus and a plan that would have taken America out of debt by 2015 for the first time since Andrew Jackson was president in 1832. Now, that's not what voters are hearing today, but that's what the game film shows. Remember, we're hiring a coaching staff here. We're not picking politicians. That's what the game film shows. So what did they do? These people who are now telling us that Barack Obama and the Democratic Congress are just crazy socialists dying to spend all your money, bankrupt the country. The first thing they did when I left office was to repeal the laws of arithmetic. Because we provided you surpluses by following a simple rule called pay as you go, which means that in normal economic terms, if I want to do something new, I'll give you an example of something I wanted to do. I wanted to give states money to provide after-school programs for kids because I think it keeps them safer and they learn more, and it really would help in inner cities. So I wanted to do, wait. We had never done that before. It was a new program. We went from 0 to 1.6 million children in after-school programs. To do that, I had 2 choices. I either had to tell you that it was so important I was going to raise a tax and tell you which one it was, or I had to stop doing something else to save the money to put it into after school. And that's what we did. And we did it for 8 years. And that's why you got 4 surpluses and we paid $600 billion down on the debt. The first thing they did was to repeal that, and they doubled the debt of the country before the financial meltdown. Then we had the bank crisis and the bailout. You are going to get over 90% of that money back. But when we had a new president take the oath of office that they're telling you is crazy to spend money, the annual deficit was already $1.2 trillion. Give me a break. Do they think we cannot add? So, what did Kendrick do? And Corinne and Alan? They put pay-as-you-go back in. Now, the president and the Congress did the stimulus because there was no problem with the debt. Interest rates were 0, and we were going deeper in the hole, and they wanted to stop us. I would have done the stimulus too. But most of that money was one-time spending, and you'll get all the rest of it back with economic growth. They had to do the stimulus. Unemployment is 2% lower than it would be if we hadn't done that stimulus. But we are back on pay-as-you-go. Now, we have one big problem, exploding medical costs, and we have to decide what to do with the defense budget. But there is a bipartisan, 50% Republican commission meeting that will make a report in December and tell us what we would have to do to take the budget deficit down to 0 as economic growth returns. Most Americans don't know that either. The Democratic co-chairman of that commission was my chief of staff, Erskine Bowles, former president of the University of North Carolina, spent 20 years starting new companies, negotiated the balanced budget agreement. We got a process in place to end the thing that the Republicans say they hate. They don't want any part of the Balanced Budget Commission report. Why? This is all bait and switch, folks. They don't care a rip about balancing the budget. They just want to make sure millionaires like Bill Clinton get his tax cuts. So they have promised you a radically different approach. No more tax cuts for people in my income group, no more tax increases, no matter what. Our temporary tax cuts are permanent. We're going to keep increasing defense, keep increasing veterans. We're going to accelerate and spend more money on Medicare because we're going to turn Medicare over to the health insurance companies, and we've got to make sure they make a profit. And we're going to cut everything else $100 billion a year. I swear that's their plan. The Concord Coalition, every conservative group in America that looks at this says their budget is a fraud. These people that are telling you they are the ones that are concerned about government spending, they are the ones that are concerned about deficits. It is bait and switch. All they really want to do is take care of the wealthy special interests that are paying for these anonymous ads that they're running all over the country to scare the living daylights out of people and tell them things that are not so. And I want you to go out and talk to people about that. Talk to independents. And if they say you don't believe them, you tell them Bill Clinton said, okay, when you produce a Republican president that since World War II has given you 4 surpluses and paid $600 billion down on the debt and left a plan that would give this country a debt-free future and produced 22.7 million jobs and left you with the smallest federal workforce since Dwight Eisenhower, we will listen to you. Otherwise, we're going to listen to the game films. The game films show what is going to happen. Now, that's my pitch to you. If you look at the facts, it's not close. If you want jobs, if you want them financed, if you want people to have an education, you got to support Kendrick Meek. You got to support these members of Congress. If you want to balance the budget, our plan is 100 times better than theirs. And you don't even have to take my word for that. You can look at all these conservative groups that say their budget is a hoax. Their budget is not about restraining spending or balancing the budget. It's about shoveling money to their interest groups. And anybody who looks at the game films will see this. What is the problem? This election is occurring in the gap between when you do things that will help bring America back and when people feel it. People only hire us Democrats when things are messed up. Isn't that right? That's how I got in. You know, for reasons that escape me, it seems like when things are good, they'd rather hear the Republicans talk. And besides, they always talk tough, but they act easy. They tell us we can go to the candy store and eat from now till kingdom come, and we will never have to go to the dentist as long as we cuss the government 3 times a day. We don't have to brush our teeth or go to the dentist, just cuss the government 3 times a day, and we'll be just fine. Now, folks, if you look at the game films, you wouldn't bring back the 2-9 coaching squad just because the new squad was only 7-4. You'd hang on and give them 2 more years to see if they couldn't win the championship. You gave them 8 years to dig this hole. Give our crowd 4 years to get out. I want you to go out and tell people that. This is a choice. We're on the right path. It's going to work out. And every college student should know about the student loans. Thank you, and God bless you all.